When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Fred Meyer for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Coming up this week on the Course Life podcast, our front nine gets going with a massive Solheim Cup recap and an awesome week for women's golf, plus a couple of remaining questions as the LIV season ends and Tiger Woods updates as well, plus a long overdue W on the PGA Tour. We get into week 2 NFL highs and lows, college football talk, and Michael checked off a new stadium and sports fan experience. We dive into that. And when we always end with food, it's griddle season and cake talk. All of it brought to you by our pals at Desert Fox Golf. They're the official fun-making accessory for golfers out there. You know you want your phone on the golf course. We all use our phone on the golf course for some reason, whether it's a small thing of just being an emergency contact for calls or text, whether you like using it for your yardage, or whether you like going crazy and playing music or watching the game on the course. The Desert Fox Phone Caddy takes care of all that for you and keeps your phone safe and sound. So check out desertfoxgolf.com, promo code CourseOfLife to save at desertfoxgolf.com. The phone caddy, and all the other great golf accessories that they're making to complement your game, like the DJ10 speaker. They've created the speaker that we all need with the awesome features we love of every golf speaker, but better and newer. All courtesy of our friends at desertfoxgolf.com.
Interwebs, and welcome to Course of Life. We are proud to be presented by our friends at Desert Fox Golf. I'm Michael, he's Alex. And Alex, the Cup is back on U.S. soil.
Let's go.
After Team USA clinched the Solheim Cup in what was a very dramatic Sunday.
Always is. We knew the Sunday single was going to get dicey, and we talked about that last week, and sure enough, it did.
I mean, did we really think that Nelly Korda was going to lose to Charlie Hall 6-4 though? I mean,
that was the strange part.
Day.
You and I had the whole conversation about how I wanted Stacey Lewis to lead with the best early on Sunday, and they did. They led with Nelly Korda and Megan Kang, who was just a ball of energy for Team USA all week, and she was amazing. And then went from there. But ironically, Charlie Hull with the first punch getting that big win over Nelly Korda, but it still wasn't enough because it was the rest of that Team USA that held them up and got the final points to get them across the finish line.
That's right. It was the likes of Rosang, who had a good week as well. She won her Sunday single 6-4, played very well.
4-0, and never made the 17th hole, Mike. She never played 17 or 18 all week. How about that?
Yep. That's just incredible. And then we thought maybe Lexi Thompson looked like she had a chance to clinch the Cup in her final outing and just couldn't get it done. Yep. Past guess, Maya Stark was able to tie her match to prevent Team US from taking the win. Yep. But it was Lilia Vu who clinched it, tying her match against Valenzuela. And the Cup returns to America for the first time since 2017, the before times.
Yeah, seriously. It's been a long way back to fully get it back. You know, we had the tie finish where the Cup was retained by Team Europe last year. So that left everyone on edge for a year. And Stacey Lewis was just wondering what we could do to get over the hump. And having the home crowd and the home cooking certainly helped out. Lauren Coughlin in her debut in her home state with an impressive performance overall in her first Solheim Cup. Just awesome performance from the energy of the team. There was some awesome content from the team room all week. Even got visits from two of my favorite celebs, Mike.
Yes.
Talk to me about Barack Obama and my girl Jessica Alba, both making appearances at the Solheim Cup. So the stars truly were out in Virginia as well.
Look, Barack Obama is just enjoying his post-presidential life in the best possible way every day because he's the cool dad that we all want at everything. He's just continued that. I mean, really.
It was good to see them out there supporting Team USA. A lot of patriotism for sure. And great to see our past guest and friend of the show, Stacey Lewis, get that win, get the cup back on U.S. soil for 2 years now. You could tell there was definitely excitement, but also a little relief kind of working through that, what was now going to be, a 7-year hump, getting the cup back successfully. So, shout out to Team USA for coming through and clinching it rather early for Sunday singles as well, too. There wasn't too much last few match drama at all. They took care of it right when they needed to. And you mentioned Lilia Vu, the major champion twice over this year with the clincher.
All right, so that wraps the Solheim Cup in Gainesville, Virginia. It's just, it's great to see Team USA on the women's side take the win. Hopefully the men can follow next year at the Ryder Cup. And the next Solheim Cup is in the Netherlands.
Wow.
In 2016.
That sounds like a fun trip.
It would be. They're at Bernardus,
maybe? Who knows?
Bernardu. I don't know. Netherlands, they speak French in the Netherlands. They kind of speak, don't they? Speak French?
That could be a fun trip indeed.
I could be very wrong here, and everyone in the Netherlands could be screaming at us.
Yeah. Swiss,
so
Dutch, maybe. There's probably some other dialect, I'm sure. But regardless, lovely destination for the next Solheim Cup.
It will be designed by an American architect, this course. So,
we're going to hear that talk for 2 years about how it's home field advantage on the road, right?
For sure.
Love that. Yeah, and first things first, like you mentioned, that Ryder Cup, we got our eyes, ears on that. That's penciled, circled, and underlined on the calendar for next September at Bethpage with Captain Keegan Bradley. Just thinking about the next time we're going to see team competition. It's, again, we say this around every year. It's sad that we do have to wait a full year to really see team competition like this again, but already revving the engine for Ryder Cup 2025.
All right, let's switch over to the PGA Tour. It was the kickoff to the FedEx Fall, the Procore Championship at Silverado in Napa, California. Yep. There were some names out there in the field. You got to scroll a ways down the leaderboard to find them outside of Mackenzie Hughes. And it was Patton Kizzire who took the win, a 5-stroke victory.
And first win in a long time.
Yeah,
it was 2,000 something days they posted on the PGA Tour's Twitter last night. So whenever you're getting into the thousands of days between wins, that's when you know it's been a bit for Patton. He's just kind of, again, one of those middle of the road names. You know the name. He could walk right by you and you may not know it's him, but he's been out on tour for a while. He's popped up on enough leaderboards to have pretty consistent status throughout the years, and getting that second win long after the first one. Got to be a big relief for him. He probably wondered if it was ever going to happen again, and really put it all together with a very impressive weekend performance. And it was in hand down the stretch. Not the most loaded field by any stretch of the imagination. But Michael, you know the deal on the PGA Tour. A win is a win is a win is a win is a win, because they all count super big these days. So a nice big check and prize coming Patton Kizzire's way.
Also want to touch real quick on the Amgen Irish Open finished up this weekend. Ireland, of course, great place. We were there last year. And worth noting because Rory was playing, he lost at Royal Country Downs here. But what that meant is that Rasmus Hojgaard wins. He ended up taking the win, 3 birdies in those last holes to beat Rory. He's the number 1 in the Race to Dubai rankings. In the top 10 in the Race to Dubai, earn a spot on the PGA Tour, meaning Rasmus pretty much has locked this in and will be joining his twin brother Nicolai on the tour next year.
Indeed. People, I don't think, have really put that together. They're kind of at the spot in the game where we still weren't sure if there was 1 or 2 Hojgaards, or we were just seeing the name a lot on leaderboards. But yes, there are indeed 2 of them, and Rasmus and Nicolai, and now they'll be both on the PGA Tour together because of Rasmus playing well. Nicolai getting there first already kind of has full status of his own in the mainland here. So a really cool storyline to see. And we're going to have the moment when they get paired together, like in, say, Hawaii or, somewhere on the West Coast. And that will be a very interesting story to follow, watching them play together in a PGA Tour event.
It is indeed. So we'll keep an eye on them next year. And the PGA Tour now heads to, I think they take a President's Cup. I don't even know the schedule anymore. It is the President's Cup coming up.
Yeah, it's President's
they take
Cup
a week
in
off
Canada,
this
up
week.
north.
week off this week. They'll come back for the President's Cup in Montreal. We'll talk about it next week.
Yep.
Before they resume the FedEx Fall in October. LIV Golf also ended up their season in Illinois this week, and Jon Rahm, with his first complete year in LIV Golf, finished with a W. He is the season point title leader and gets an $18 million bonus. Ooh. Jon Rahm, great when he plays for 3 days, but when he's playing in the majors, he either has an injury or he doesn't play well now.
Yeah, a very strange 2024 that just had to be noted here. LIV wrapping up their season. We've crowned the individual champion. They're going to do the team championship in Dallas this weekend. I might be heading up there. We'll see. But regarding his season, we watched all year as he was deathly consistent in the LIV Golf events, top 10s, top 5s everywhere. But when it came to the 4 majors, the biggest stages, when I saw him at Valhalla, Pinehurst, he had his press conference and withdrew an hour later. Didn't perform up to standards at Augusta, no show at the Open. He seems like the unhappiest, like 500 millionaire in golf in 2024 because he did all of these kind of great things when the LIV Golf audience was watching, but then when everyone gathered for the 4 biggest events of the year, he was kind of a no-show. I'm sure he's kind of wrestling with that idea as he starts his off season. A very interesting 2024 campaign for Jon Rahm.
I mean, it's kind of surprising that over the last 2 years, the only 2 LIV golfers to that sounds weird. Sounds like there should be more LIV golfers winning majors, but Brooks and Bryson won majors over the last 2 years.
Yep.
Not the guys we maybe thought were going to win majors out of LIV, like Jon Rahm, like Cam Smith.
Right, like Joaquin Niemann maybe is another pick that could have done that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's surprising that, the big names that came late to LIV after winning major championships have not done well in major championships.
Yeah, it's so that, some guys still have the hunger and maybe some don't in certain spots. It's very hard to read right now. We talked about the rumors of Rahm not being happy and regretting taking the LIV deal in the first place. He seemed to dispel those recently, but, it just always makes you wonder when you just kind of see the way he operates out there. He seems just a little waffly from a personality standpoint. So very, very interesting to follow kind of him for the next 6 to 12 months. And obviously we're going to have all eyes heading towards Augusta next spring, which is foreseeably the next time that we're going to see guys like him on those big stages. And that'll be the true test to see if he has a comeback year in 2025.
Keep an eye on that for sure. Tiger Woods is eyeing a 2025 comeback again, most likely, because guess what, Alex? He had back surgery again.
Oh, Jesus. God, I've run out of fingers and toes to count the surgeries for Tiger these days.
Yeah. Supposedly something for a nerve or something going on in his back. Hasn't said anything about whether he's going to be playing in the 2 events in December that he's usually at.
Right, the hero and the father-son. That's like the little mini Tiger Woods season that like we all get excited for now is in December. Yep. That's when you see the most of him these days.
Yeah, so we'll see. If it's something, just a minor surgery or something for a pitch nerve or something, I'm sure he'll be back out there for sure. So that just kind of dropped rather calmly this week. So there it was.
And I saw you had a little bit of a TGL note. Speaking of Tiger Woods as well too.
This was rather interesting. I was cruising through TikTok like a Gen Zer.
Yeah, you were.
And St. Andre Golf, great content from them always, has a little video where they were at the Atlanta Drive Co. practice facility.
Atlanta Drive is the TGL franchise representing the city of Atlanta, owned by the owner of the Falcons, Arthur Blank, as well too.
Arthur Blank. And they were playing one of the new holes that are being designed specifically for the TGL. And you saw them hitting off the turf, hitting out of a bunker. They were able to also, so it looks like they have a caddy where they can kind of, just like you maybe would on a good simulator, be able to drag where you might land your ball and see kind of your yardages so you can kind of know where you're going. And then they had to move over to the green to putt out. So it was really kind of interesting to see kind of the flow of what we might be seeing in January. when SoFi Arena or whatever they're calling it down there in Florida finally opens after everything that's happened this year. So it could be rather interesting. It could be worth a 2-hour watch on TV every once in a while.
For sure, yeah. They're planning to get it going in January, like they mentioned. I mean, they're squeezing it into 2 hours prime time, Mike. So that's a different vibe for the game of golf to kind of compact a full scale match and event into 2 hours. It'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, I'm cool. I'm very mystified by the video that I am seeing that you showed me here of the actual facility. It's going to give some new life to the fans of Topgolf, the fans of simulator golf that maybe don't watch a ton of professional golf at home. I think that's the audience they're definitely going to be appealing to here with the launch of the TGL. And
I also have to say the logos for the TGL feel a lot less clip arty than the LIV Golf logos. I don't know if I'm biased from this, but they just look less clip arty.
Fun fact, at the LPGA event in Boston that I was at a couple weeks ago, the Boston Common Golf franchise, the TGL franchise, had their own truck set up there. They were selling merch. They had a little simulator. It wasn't quite the full experience like you saw in that video, but good to see that they're out there getting the word out in advance of the TGL launch.
There you go. Over on our YouTube channel, we're going to be wrapping up that giveaway from your video from Visit Beloit. So this is the last chance to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave a comment about where you'd want to check out after watching that Beloit video, where you think you'd have the most fun. And Alex will then go in and we'll pick a winner, and you'll get a swag bag. You'll get some Beloit Sky Carp merchandise. You'll get a Desert Fox phone caddy. Who doesn't love free stuff?
I know, free stuff just for going on YouTube and subscribing and watching a video. That's it.
Yeah, you get to help us out. You maybe get to win some free stuff. It's a win-win scenario, really.
Yep, I'm actually wearing my Hogwarts Beloit Sky Carp shirt right now as we record. I love the logo. It's a nice, shiny, bright blue, good fabric. You get those giveaway shirts and you always wonder what kind of fabric you're getting. This is the real deal. So shout out to Sky Carp. That's just one piece of the prize pack. Again, check out our YouTube at Course of Life Podcast. Check out the most recent video, the Visit Beloit video. Just subscribe to the page and leave a comment with your favorite part. You're entered to win. Simple as that. This is the final week, so get on that now if you want to win.
Let's do a little tuned in, Alex. And I know you were watching the Emmys on Sunday night.
Oh, yeah. Busy football day, but the Emmys is one of those award shows that I will always make a little bit of time with. It was a 2-screen night with Sunday Night Football and the Emmys going on. And early, the Bear racking up the awards big time. Jeremy Allen White and supporting roles as well, too. So I know the service industry lovers and lovers of the Bear were thrilled to see that. I'm curious how that'll all play out next year as far as the Bear, Michael, because I really thoroughly enjoyed the first 2 seasons. And so they were winning off of season 2 this year. Season 3, I was a little bit more confused and off-put by. So I'm curious to see if they get the nomination and award count like they did this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And they did not win Best Comedy Series, which they were surprisingly nominated for. That ended up going to the Hacks. So
were you a Hacks or were you a Shogun guy? Those are the big winners of the night. It appeared to me. I know you watched a little bit of everything in your time, but
well, what I can say is that both Hacks and Shogun are on my list, but I have not watched.
Okay, Shogun's on my list as well too, and Hacks surprised me with the win. You're right, but good to see them. And always a great night for the Emmys. Great to see everyone all dolled and dressed up, and award season rolls on as well. My other tuned in was a documentary from a past sports story that you may remember. Mike, do you remember the Manti Te'o story about him getting catfished, the Notre Dame football star? This is about 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he famously was a Heisman Trophy candidate, defensive All-American, poised to go to the NFL, did go to the NFL, but in the middle of his senior season, we find out he loses his grandmother and his girlfriend quite literally on the same day. What we don't realize is his quote-unquote dead girlfriend never existed. It was the workings of a catfish, of someone in his life catfishing him. And Manti Te'o walks through the entire process of everything that happened. it syncs up, and you see it sync up with all the interviews, the big games he's playing in. And it was a fascinating watch. This is part of that Untold series. There's a lot of Untold documentaries in the sports realm as well, too. They've done several of them. Definitely worth checking out if you're into that kind of internet sleuthing, catfish type of stuff. The Manti Te'o story, that was the original like celebrity, famous person getting catfished moment on the internet. So very cool look back at the early 2010s as well with the untold story of Manti Te'o.
All right, let's get to the turn and this week's guest. It's the return of Elizabeth Diane Veith. She's really our unofficial third chair on the podcast. She sat in for me before. We've shot some content with her at the PGA show from last year as well. And this rather interesting interview because usually our chats with her are more focused on travel or fashion. And this year, it's more about pregnancy.
Yes, talking pregnancy here on the Course of Life. There you go. There's a lead-in you didn't think we'd have, right?
Yeah.
But it was fascinating to hear because Elizabeth is a avid golfer. She's diehard, just like us all. Elizabeth is currently pregnant right now. Oh, but don't worry. That has not slowed down her golf game at all. We get into everything that's going on in her life. And she also paid an awesome visit to a recent PGA Tour event as well. Yes, it's our favorite guest on the Course of Life and our unofficial third chair here on the podcast. Joining us to catch up with everything going on in her golf game and her life, it's Elizabeth Diane Veith joining us again. Elizabeth, how you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Very good. As always, I check in with everything Colorado-based with you. I can't believe it. We have this conversation every time. I just watched the national news, and I'm hearing there's already snow somewhere in Colorado. Please tell me that's not true.
Yeah, it is true, unfortunately. Our high country did get some snow, and we have leaves changing, which means that winter is right around the corner, which is crazy.
You still going to have a little bit more time on the golf season, or is it going to end abruptly this fall for everyone there?
I'm really hoping we've got a lot more time, specifically fall golf, because fall golf is my favorite with the leaves changing. The conditions are a little bit cooler, especially in the afternoon and in the morning. And then, warm during the day. So I'm really hoping we have a lot longer than what they're forecasting.
Yeah, I know. I hate seeing a golf season cut short in such a beautiful part of the country like that. So hopefully you squeak out a couple more months of decent enough weather there. One thing I wanted to touch on and get your opinion on, because I know you had an amazing time there, was getting out to Castle Pines for the PGA Tour's playoff event that was there last month in the BMW Championship. Just for people who don't have an idea, give people a little context to Castle Pines as a course and a venue and where it sits in the area where you are.
Yeah, so it's actually right in my backyard, which is really fun. It is a really premier private course. It's in the top 100 in regards to just overall courses. And it is dubbed the Augusta of the West. So, which is a very high title to be given. So, the course is absolutely beautiful. It's got a lot of different elevation changes, which was very interesting to see with the PGA Tour and see how they were playing, see how far their drives were going. I mean, I saw Rory hit a 423-yard drive, which is insane, absolutely insane.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. I mean, explain the yardages and why that's happening for people who don't quite understand why the ball is going so much further there than anywhere else.
Yeah, so we have the beauty in Colorado of altitude, and altitude really can send the golf ball a lot further than anywhere else. So anytime I travel somewhere else, I have to actually club up and take into consideration the altitude, because if I'm hitting my driver, say here, 250 yards, it might only go 200 yards, not at altitude. And it's really just based on the aerodynamics of the golf ball and the fact that, it's compressed a little bit higher here and flies through the air faster. So
yeah, the world's best players were having a lot of issue adjusting to the yardages and kind of figure out what that number is. What would you say? You gave us a little bit of an estimate, but like, what's that number in terms of yards difference per club for you when you're at altitude versus when you're on flat ground? What's that average for you distance wise?
Yeah, so it can be anywhere from 20 to 30 yards, and I usually err on the side of 30 yards because usually I find in the first couple shots that I am short, I am not long anytime I am not at altitude. But it is really a fun math problem for them as they come out here and, they have their yardages dialed in to the point where it's, I know my driver goes this, I know my 50-degree goes this. So it was really interesting to see because there were some really, really long shots and some really, really short shots where it was like, oh, you totally didn't have the altitude dialed in on that shot. So it was cool to see. And I think it made the course a little bit more challenging. Plus, the wind picked up a little bit over the weekend. Not only did you have to take into consideration altitude, but you had to also factor in the wind and the direction of the wind. And on that course, with all of the different hillsides that you have, and their greens are very tricky, you have to get it dialed in very quickly. So it was really cool to see. And we were initially estimating, me and my friends, we were talking of like, hey, they're going to rip this course apart because of the altitude. They're going to have a longer distance off the tee. So we're going to see 30 under being our winner. And there was some people that got close to that, but it was not the tearing up of the course that I was expecting, to be honest with you, which I think the altitude and the yardage really played into it.
Definitely, yeah. And we didn't have much context either for golf fans who've been around for a bit. There was previously a PGA Tour event at Castle Pines back in the day, but it was a modified Stableford scoring system where you got points for aggressiveness and birdies and eagles. Do you remember much of that event being there at all?
I do. So that is actually the event that I met Tiger and Phil at way back when. So that was a really fun event. But yeah, it was kind of a different format, as you mentioned, and a lot of pros really liked it. And then there were some pros that absolutely hated it and wouldn't even sign up for the event because of it. But yeah, it was difficult to put it into context in regards to it's been so long since the PGA Tour has been back to Colorado. So it was very difficult kind of to gauge of, well, what does this do? We have a Corn Ferry Tour event that happens at TPC Colorado up north every year. And so that would be, I would say, the most context that we had of seeing professional golf in Colorado. But it was really interesting to see because the caddies, their yardage books, the talk that you could actually hear in between a player and a caddy was a lot different than what I've seen at other PGA Tour events. It was, hey, what do you think about how far this is going to go? What club should I use? What's the wind doing?
A lot more guessing.
A lot more of that. Yeah, it was a lot more guessing and a lot more, we're going to aim here and see what happens.
Interesting. Well put. And as far as the course and the feedback, I'm sure you saw, press conferences and player feedback throughout the week, but what did it seem like the overall vibe was, going back to a fairly new venue for a lot of the younger players, the tour hadn't been there in about 2 decades.
Yeah. So the vibe was awesome. Colorado really showed up. There was about, over 30,000 people that actually showed up both days on the weekend. And we are a golf city/town, even though we don't get dubbed one because of our winters. But no, there's a lot of golfers in the area. There's a lot of celebrities. There's a lot of history at Castle Pines as well, just in regards to it being a premier club, as well as just its members. So, yeah, it was awesome to see Colorado show up and have an event back in Colorado. And I think it went really, really well. And I'm hoping that it's going to be something that will either be a regular stop or a stop in regards to the playoffs, and have that challenge be that altitude.
Yeah, definitely. That would be cool to see them go back. And I think it was very well received overall. And the event itself brought a hometown hero for myself. I played quite literally high school golf against Keegan Bradley in Massachusetts growing up. And it's been awesome to see the arc of his career. He's a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's quite the watch. What was that experience like, seeing him pull through it and get the W there that day?
It was really cool. So I am a Keegan Bradley fan. And, I know that he's gotten a lot of press recently in regards to the President's Cup and a lot of other, events. And so I was really pulling for him. And I love the fact that his dad is a PGA professional. So I know not a lot of people know this, but, PGA professionals are really the backbone of golf if you are not on the PGA Tour. From lessons and from running course operations and things like that. So it was so cool to see that connection and actually have him say, this is the first time that my dad has seen me on the PGA Tour win. Like he's been there physically. So that was such a special moment between the two of them, and absolutely love the PGA professional impact and story there.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Keegan, and I love seeing him pull through. And now it kind of brings up an interesting little debate here. Now he's going to be the Ryder Cup captain, and I mean, thoughts are the way he's still playing at this age, he could potentially be in position to play and maybe do a rare player captain double combo next year at the Ryder Cup. What are your thoughts on that debate and the idea of him possibly doing both? It hasn't really been talked about maybe since we floated the idea with Tiger and he kind of strayed away from it. But how about the prospect of Keegan maybe doing both and being a player and a captain of the Ryder Cup?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. So when he was named captain of the Ryder Cup, I was, number one, really ecstatic for him, watching Full Swing and seeing his just emotions and not being selected for the last Ryder Cup team.
That still eats me up watching that scene. Yeah.
Yes, you and me both. So I was so happy that was who was selected. I do think there's a lot of challenges in being both a player or a playing captain, because you have to focus on different things. It's, are you focused on the strategy at the same time as getting points and really playing for your team? So I feel like it's going to definitely be a challenge if he decides to do it. Candidly, if I was in his shoes, I would take the strategy of I'm gonna coach. I'm gonna be a captain. I'm not gonna play, but I do think that if anybody could pull it off, it would be Keegan, because of his mindset of he could probably flip that switch pretty quick between being a player and being a captain.
Yeah, for sure. And I think maybe the balance would be, if he were to obviously lead by being a captain, if he were to play as well, maybe it's just kind of one session, Friday or Saturday, and then obviously the Sunday singles, get him out there twice, maybe 3 times. So it's not too much of a distraction, but having him there obviously on Sunday singles would be a really cool storyline with him as the captain as well. So I'm definitely going to be watching that storyline here in the next year as we lead up towards Ryder Cup 2025. And I got to say, Elizabeth, I was very impressed. You were walking Castle Pines, having fun all week, and you were rocking the bump the whole time as well, too. So it's officially our time to say congratulations from the Course of Life podcast family on your pregnancy. Give everyone a little bit of a detail, the timeline and where you're at right now.
Yes, no, thank you. We are super excited. So we are expecting a son. October 15th is our due date. So I am 8 months pregnant, and was almost 8 months at that point. So I was walking the hills of Castle Pines with my bump. There were times where I actually had to stop and take some breaks.
Yep, I believe that. That's
break
okay.
The course apart, because it is a very hilly course, as you might have seen, in the telecast. But yeah, it was so much fun to be out there, and it was really special too to have him be there in spirit.
That's awesome. Yeah. And let's rewind the clock a little bit, because you did it in the most Elizabeth way ever, announcing the pregnancy with Masters merch. Of course, we always talk Masters merch here on the podcast. Explain how that idea for the Masters merch and then the Magnolia Lane photo came about.
Yeah. So that photo is a very coveted photo. It's a very hard photo to get. So if you have been to the Masters recently, you know that you can actually not take the photo that we have. So I had some special connections that I used to actually make that photo happen. So once we found out that we were pregnant and, had everything confirmed for a couple months, we decided to actually use that as our announcement photo. So I have, my husband and I standing with a master onesie with Magnolia Lane in the background. And like I said, that photo you can't get any longer as a normal fan at the Masters. So it's extra special for us to not only have that, but then to also be able to say that we were able to get it before it's no longer allowed.
Yeah, no, that was a really cool way to do it. And I appreciated seeing the announcement. Obviously, you got lots of great feedback from everyone in our little golf space here on the internet. So again, congrats. And I guess kind of walk us through everything. I always hear a lot on both sides of the scale on the first trimester. How did things get off to the pregnancy start for you in the first trimester specifically?
Yeah, candidly, they were very rough. Yeah, the first trimester.
Well, you made it through. Congrats.
Yeah, we did. We made it through. The second trimester and third trimester so far have been a lot easier than the first trimester. The other funny thing that is kind of ironic, but not ironic, is I am playing some of my best golf right now.
Wow. I was about to ask, what's your 2024 golf journey been, starting where you did and now continuing playing through pregnancy? Yeah. How's it gone out there?
It's going great. I actually have my lowest tournament round at our course booked, and I was about 5 months pregnant at that point. So I'm not sure if it's just the center of gravity where I actually have to swing fully through, or if it's just extra weight or what's going on. But my game has been really crazy good, and putting has been very interesting up until about 2 weeks ago. I could still see the ball, standing over it. But about 2 weeks ago, I kind of lost sight of the ball. It's funny. I am putting a little bit better when I can't see where I'm lining up, which is very interesting.
That's utterly fascinating. That also reminds me of occasionally when Jordan Spieth just looks at the hole when he putts.
Yes.
Have you tried that lately at all?
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing since I can't actually see. I can line my putter up and be like, this is where I think the ball is. But I've been looking more at the hole and more at the distance of, this is my aim point actually while I'm taking my putting stroke, because I can't see where the ball is. So it's been a lot about feel and a lot more about I'm going to actually aim for the hole and have that be my focus the whole time during my putting stroke, which has been very interesting. And if you are looking for something different to do out on the putting green or even as a drill, I would highly suggest it, because it teaches you a lot about the feel of putting when you can't actually see what your putting stroke looks like.
Very well put. Yeah, because, the putting stroke is so unique to golf in that when you're looking down at the putter, you can see the entire thing happen. You see the entire arc from back to through. And now not seeing that, it also kind of maybe frees you up a little bit just mentally, getting a little bit more liberal with where your target is when you're putting as well, too, I imagine, right? Definitely.
Yep.
Very cool. Awesome. Great tips for pregnant golfers out there as well, too, from Elizabeth. Diane Veith here joining us on the show. Any golf-themed baby gifts, or is there any golf stuff for the baby on the registry? What's the room going to look like? Give us all the details.
Yes. So his nursery is golf-themed. I'm sure that doesn't come as a shock for anyone. With my husband being a PGA professional and myself being a huge avid golfer, we actually have baby animals that have golf clubs, golf bags, a golf ball as his decorations. We also have a Masters putter, speaking of memorabilia, that we got this year that will be hanging in his nursery, as well as a bunch of other Masters themes, including the famous Masters gnome for this year. So his nursery is navy and white because we needed to match the Masters gnome. So
absolutely. Yeah. I'm trying to think through the Masters merchandise store there at Augusta National. Is there a lot of baby Masters merch? I definitely missed it, but I'm sure it's there, right?
So there's actually a whole section, as you walk in, there's all these different sections. Once again, as we've talked about, it is the most overwhelming shopping experience ever. But they actually have a little section that is in the back right corner that is all baby stuff. So we have his announcement hat and outfit that will be actually the Masters logo on a white onesie. We got a bunch of onesies for him. We actually, strategically planned it to make sure that we had a couple of onesies based on the size we think he would be for April of 2025 to make sure that he was ready to go and outfitted for the Masters. They have like rattles, they have teddy bears. So yeah, there's a lot. You'd be shocked. We went a little bit overboard this year, knowing that we were going to have him coming.
No, you and I have discussed there's no overboard at the Masters merch tent at the store there at Augusta. That's awesome. Elizabeth, let's always end with food and do some food questions here. And I obviously have to ask the elephant in the room one. Any weird pregnancy cravings or strange food that you wouldn't have normally eat that you find yourself eating during pregnancy?
Yeah, so the one that has been the strangest has been I've made myself a grilled cheese, but with pickles and chicken actually inside of it. So it's like a chicken pickle grilled cheese.
That's like a combination of like a Chick-fil-A sandwich and a grilled cheese all in one. I mean, I can't. It actually sounds pretty good in theory. I don't think I've ever done that combo before. It's
not bad. I suggest even if you're not pregnant, you should try it. It's been actually really good.
Nice. And what's the modernized summer 2024 pregnancy order at the 19th hole now? I'm sure it's changed a little bit, but what are you getting at the 19th hole these days?
Yes, it has changed a lot. So of course, I'll state the obvious. I'm not having whiskey when I get off.
Okay, good to know. Yeah.
Right. Just to clarify that for everybody. But no, I am actually doing ginger ale. And then my food has changed a little bit. I am doing a buffalo chicken wrap with extra ranch, like a huge side of ranch dressing on this side. Normally it would be whiskey and wings.
Yep, like that. No, the buffalo chicken wrap, very well done. An extra ranch, you always got to have extra ranch. Elizabeth, thanks for the awesome answers and insight into the pregnancy. Best of luck with everything with you and the family, and hit them straight as you continue to golf through the pregnancy as well, too.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Course of Life podcast is brought to you by Zencastr. We've been using Zencastr here since almost the very beginning as how Alex and I record this podcast from hundreds of miles away. And it provides us with great quality audio that works every time. And it's something that makes Course of Life what it is and has kept us being able to make consistent episodes every week. And now it's super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. You log in using your browser and start recording a high quality podcast right away. You record studio quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. You feel a sense of zen, knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. And have you ever wondered what you actually sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. Head on over to zencastr.com/pricing and use our promo code Course of Life to get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all of your podcasting and content needs. Again, that's zencastr.com/pricing and our promo code Course of Life. Zencastr, it's time to share your story.
We're back. Great chat there with Elizabeth, showing us that getting pregnant is great for your golf game.
I guess so, right? Playing the best golf of her life.
I have to ask if Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he got pregnant, ended up playing the best golf of his life.
Yeah, Because that's the guy who's gotten pregnant. You and I laughed about it at the same time when we were prepping the episode. It's impressive to see that she's consistently playing as well, putting around the swing. I love that she can't see the ball anymore when she's putting. So she's just doing the Jordan Spieth thing where she looks at the hole and lo and behold, her putting has gotten better. That's how wacky this game is that we love. And real quick, we're not always ending with food yet, but thoughts on the craving sandwich there, the grilled cheese with chicken and pickles. That really doesn't sound that bad to me.
I mean, it really doesn't sound bad. I'd want maybe something else in there to tie it together. But yeah, I mean, really, you're having just like a chicken melt with pickles. I mean, what could be bad?
Sounds divine. Again, thanks for Elizabeth for hopping on the show. We always enjoy getting life updates from her. And next, we'll get some baby talk with her as she welcomes the little one into the world. Congrats to Elizabeth and the family as well, too. And look forward to having her on the show again.
And if you like that conversation with Elizabeth plus everything else we do here on this podcast, make sure you punch that subscribe button right now.
Yes, right now.
If you did it before, that's okay, but you had to wait for me to say now. Leave us a rating. You can do that at any time, not while you're driving. Make sure you're stopped in a parking lot. Don't do it at a traffic light. Nobody likes that guy. Follow us on Instagram, COL Podcast, Corso Life Alex, MWRINC. Alex is on X, formerly known as Twitter, Corso Life 1. We are, of course, on YouTube, Corso Life Podcast. You can find videos. You can be watching the podcast, but you won't really be seeing our faces because, I got to be honest, that's a lot of work, Alex, and I don't really want to do it. I think
hit up our socials if you want to see my beautiful face.
There you go. We also got some videos hitting up on our YouTube channel from my time at the Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the Cleveland Browns. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But first, let's talk about the WNBA.
Yeah, some other sports.
The postseason starts September 22nd. And this has been a banner year for the WNBA. Of course, Caitlin Clark, who's really a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year. She is the single-season assist leader, all-time single-season assist leader with 317 as of Friday's game. She's got one more game going.
Nice.
Okay. First player in WNBA history to have 700-plus points and 300-plus assists in a single season. And she has led the Fever from a 1-8 start in May to a playoff berth.
Yeah, they were kind of on the fritz early in the season. I was wondering if this is just going to be kind of a ceremonial rookie season. And then all of a sudden they turned it on and have been white hot. I admittedly dipped out of WNBA kind of full-time watching a little bit as football season got going. But if we're coming up on the postseason, I'm absolutely here for it. I'm looking forward to seeing Caitlin Clark's playoff matchup, and the postseason buzz for the WNBA will be at a record level this year because of her. For sure. There's a lot of other great stars in the game as well, too, but exciting to see that the Fever and her in her rookie season are going to get that spotlight and postseason coverage as well, too.
I mean, it's hard, though, to look at this and say that the Aces aren't in good position again. They, of course, now have the all-time single-season leading scorer in Aja Wilson, dropping 1,000 points so far.
Yeah,
first
Olympian gold medal winner as well. She's had the dream summer too. So, yeah, I mean, Aces, they're kind of giving off like NBA Golden State Warriors vibes from like 6 to 7 years ago. One of those teams is always going to be in the mix, and they're going to have to be toppled and beaten handily for someone to win the championship. You're going to have to go through the Aces for sure, led by Aja Wilson.
Let's talk football. Before we get into college and the NFL, we have to talk about the beef between Eli Manning and Tom Brady.
Oh, boy. What's going on here? I'm backing my boy Tom regardless, but go ahead. Spill me the beef.
I mean, Eli, I guess, is now like a part owner of Wrexham FC.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and he made some comment about he's going to be playing Tom Brady's team and he's looking forward to beating him again. And Tom then made a video in which he's in his house and he's like, I'm trying to make this response to Eli, but I can only find one of my Super Bowl trophies and I can't find the other 6. So when I find it, I'll let you know what I'm thinking, Eli.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
and that's a flex. Game. That's a flex, but Tom, did lose 2 Super Bowls to Eli.
No, really? Did he? Did that really happen?
The only quarterback in team to be undefeated against Tom Brady and the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
That can't be a fact. There's no way. Eli Manning, the dopey Manning brother? No way.
Eli Manning. You remember those 2 games, Alex? You remember those 2 times that the Giants beat the Patriots
just
in the Super Bowl?
refreshing my memory now, actually. Yeah.
I think that was a funny little thing that happened last week.
Tom Brady in retirement's fun. He's doing. This is how you know the world's flipped upside down. Bill Belichick has joined Instagram, and Tom Brady is doing weekly YouTube vlogs. That's where this world's heading right now. It's all content. Speaking of Manning's, going from Eli to Cooper and his son. Little interesting development in the college football world. The baby bets were 6-6. We're still above 500. That's all Gucci. We had a tough Saturday, but we'll bounce back. But Michael, we have Arch Manning now starting for the Texas Longhorns. Quinn Ewers got hurt, so Cooper's son Arch Manning now the starting quarterback for the number 2 ranked Longhorns. And I'm here to report that he does not have the clunkiness of his uncles. He is much faster and fleet-footed than Peyton and Eli were. So good things ahead, hopefully, for the Longhorns with Arch Manning at the helm.
I have to correct you, though. You said the number 2 ranked Texas Longhorns.
Yes.
They're the number 1 ranked Texas Longhorns.
Wow. They gave that to us because Georgia looked shaky. Interesting.
Texas is back, baby. Wow. Texas is back.
I didn't even consider that being a thing. I just figured that Georgia would still be number 1, but they looked a little shaky against Kentucky.
They did.
So oh my God. Oh God. Yeah. Fully inflated egos here across the city of Austin, Texas, because we've been waiting to do Texas is back for a decade. And I think we finally can do it. Wow. What a moment.
I'm sure they'll shit the bed next week, though.
Yeah, right. Imagine they lose to Louisiana Monroe or some crappy SEC team before the Oklahoma-Georgia duo in October. We got those ones circled, so those will be coming up in a few weeks.
I know people going to that game, so
yep, that's going to be a big week here. College game day in action in Austin for sure. October 19th, Texas, Georgia. If you watch one college football game all year, make it that one.
It was NFL Week 2, and Week 2 is highlighted, Alex, because I did a thing I've never done before.
Ever. Great tease. Ever. Never, ever in your life.
Never have I ever been to any complete football game, even from high school. And I went down to Trevor Bank Stadium, as they called it. For the Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the Cleveland Browns.
It's an amazing combo of teams I never would have expected for your first NFL game.
Well, only because I'm friends with someone who is a big Browns fan, and they had a trip planned going down there with a big group of Brown backers, as they're called, I think, nationwide.
Okay.
And someone wasn't able to go, and I was able to buy the ticket off them. So went down, did a tailgate, first ever tailgate with a bunch of Browns fans. That was an interesting experience as I was wearing a Browns jersey.
But you fit in nicely, so that was a good move.
And I wasn't just wearing any Browns jersey. I was wearing a Whedon jersey.
A Brandon Whedon jersey? That is unbelievable.
Another friend who's also a Browns fan said that he would have respected me more if I wore a Pittsburgh jersey.
Great dig from the Brown backers there. Yeah, so the tailgate and the day in the stadium with road Browns fans in Jacksonville. What was that experience for you like as a fan?
It was very interesting. Trevor Bank Stadium, called that way, of course, for Trevor Lawrence. It's an old field. They're going to be redoing it starting next year. It's going to be a massive undertaking. It definitely needs it, but really not a bad seat in the house. We were in the upper deck, center field, like 50-yard line, pretty much. Able to look down on everything, had a good angle the whole game. It was really interesting. I kept asking where the yellow line was for first down. I don't know why that wasn't just there on the field.
See, I'm super spoiled. As you know, I've been to countless NFL games, and that's the first thing you pick up on is you look and you're like, oh, we're looking at the orange sticks here. Like we're back to looking at the sticks, like the good old days when you watch in real life. Yeah.
Yep. So that was interesting. But I mean, it was a game. It was a sloppy football game. Trevor Lawrence didn't look too hot. He looked much better in the second half. He didn't look too hot. Deshaun Watson, he made some bad decisions that resulted in lucky outcomes.
Interesting. I was going to ask for your 30-second kind of Deshaun Watson takeaway. Record NFL contract, lots of legal trouble in the last few years that kept him off the field for a while, kind of finally settling back in as the Browns quarterback. But it sounds like he's really not fully settled by any stretch of the imagination.
I mean, he looked okay. He had that rushing touchdown in the first half. He did make some throws. That looked okay. It's hard to be good when he constantly was running out of the pocket. And that was problematic because in the second half, they were marching downfield for a touchdown to really put the game away. And they were like 3rd and 5, I think, on the 10 or something. And they had an illegal offensive face mask that backed them up. And then they had like 3 illegal shift penalties in a row. Geez, yeah. And all of a sudden it was 3rd and 45 from like the 45. And they were out of field goal range.
Life of an average NFL team right there. Just when you think you've got it going, you mess it all up, right?
I will say I called the safety late in the game when they had Jacksonville pinned down on like the 2 and sitting there a bunch of Browns fans, and it's like, this is bad, this is really bad. And I'm like, it's going to be a safety. Just watch. It's going to be a safety. And it was a safety.
By the way, pretty rare that you saw a safety in your first ever NFL game that you attended. Those don't happen very often.
Now, surprising, of course, that the free kick is pretty much the same it's always been, but the kickoff is just stupid. The kickoff is so stupid.
Where everyone just mannequins for like 5 seconds and waits for the guy to catch it.
It's just dumb. But yeah, here's the thing. Would I go to an NFL football game again? Because this would be the question, rather than watching it.
For people who've never been, there are a lot of people out there who are listening that have never been to an NFL game. So yeah, would you go again after going once? Well,
the tickets were expensive.
Yep.
They were upper deck, well over $100.
Yep, that's the going rate.
Soda was $7. A bottle of water was $6 or $7. A popcorn was $7.50. I didn't look at how much they were selling beer for, but I'm sure it was like $14 a beer. So no, I would stay home and watch it. Watch it on TV.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where
I'm sorry.
When you go, you do appreciate the act of being there and the environment and the atmosphere when you're in it. But everything around it for you to get to and from the game, the pricing when you're in and around the game is very difficult on your wallet and difficult logistically. So it's a great sacrifice to have that kind of euphoric experience of being in the atmosphere of a game, which I'll always vouch for, but I will always lead with but you have to be ready to spend and be ready for a little bit of a logistical day. So it's never easy getting in and out of those games. So glad you had the experience though. And maybe a different team, different stadium. If nothing else, so you can check off a different stadium next time. Love that.
I can. It was nice to go. It'd be nice to go and actually be invested in one of the teams playing instead of fake invested like I was for the Browns. But hey, Browns are 1-1. They now get to play the Giants next week.
Oh, lovely segue. Awesome. And your Giants are looking great. They're off to another great start, right? As always. Is that correct?
I mean, I don't know who to be more mad at in this game. The Giants as a whole, or the pardon my French, the fucking coaching staff for knowing their place kicker was hurt, letting him play, pulling him after the kickoff, and then not having a kicker for the entire game. So we couldn't make a point after attempt on any of the touchdowns. We couldn't kick a field goal on 4th and 4 on the 22 at the 2-minute warning and take the lead. So we lost the game because the coaching staff did not have a contingency plan for a hurt kicker. That is why we're 0-2.
That's tremendously sad. And this early in the season to have that happen too. It's not like we're like at the end of the line here in January in week 18. Like this is the beginning of the year. You should have all your dominoes in a row and you should logistically know who would be an emergency kicker that you could sign the day before. Also, like these are things NFL teams should be ready for.
The punter who missed the first point after attempt and then they didn't bother putting out there again. Why can't frickin' punters kick the ball when it's on the ground?
They should be the backup in that scenario. And they should be at least just able enough to put the extra point through.
All you do is go out there a couple times a half and you kick the ball. That's all you do as a punter.
And listen, I've watched enough NFL training camps. Those punters and kickers, they're hanging around with each other all day long. All right? They got nothing else to do. You might as well practice a couple field goals for the moment you get called on like that.
It really grinds my gears.
Special teams, man, and that really killed the Patriots. They had a blocked field goal late, which could have extended the lead. Instead, Seattle got the ball back, got overtime. We couldn't convert what we needed to. Patriots fall to 1-1. It's special teams. It's the things in between the lines. It's the little things that all do count towards NFL results. You saw that both in person and on your TV this past weekend.
It's just horrific. And then the Chiefs almost lost. Really, they did, but they somehow got the ball back. So.
Yeah, this is that thing. I've been there because I was in the Patriots' shoes where the Chiefs just look okay. They're going to waffle through the beginning of the season. We're going to wonder if they still have it, and then they'll turn it on right when it's time to.
All right, let's hashtag always end with food.
Yep, let's do it. That's a wrap on football. Turning to food, our 19th hole content at always end with food on Instagram if you want to follow along. Big addition to the home this past weekend. My birthday gift arrived. I am now officially a Blackstone griddle guy.
Hey.
Yep. Big ad.
Yo, so what did you cook first?
Well, obviously you do the little seasoning prep on the griddle itself. And then, like I always heard from everyone who owned a Blackstone before, you just take an entire bag of bacon, and boy, was this fulfilling. And you just put an entire bag of bacon right on that griddle. And you just get that bacon grease flowing through there, through every nook and cranny of the griddle. So we started with the bacon. And then obviously, since we had the bacon, it was a football Saturday. So we went for cheeseburgers. Bacon cheeseburgers with sauté onions. Add your condiments of choice. Amazing. Cooked just like at a restaurant. Perfect cheese melt. And many meals to come. I'm already making a gigantic list of things that I need to make on the griddle. And if you have any griddle suggestions, send them to me on Instagram at always end with food, because I'll be officially a griddle guy just in time for football season.
I think what you need to make are homemade McGriddle sandwiches.
Oh, yes. What a lovely idea that is.
Yes.
I had some form of breakfast sandwich on there, but really specifically McGriddle. I think I need to get one of those, the outline for the egg, so the egg cooks in a perfect circle. I don't have one of those.
Yep. Well, do you have like cookie cutters?
Oh yeah, so I could just use a circular cookie cutter. Because that's like that.
Yeah, you need one big enough, and you need a couple, but that'll work just fine.
McGriddle, sorry, added it to the list. I'm officially a griddle guy, and I'll be reporting back with future recipes.
While you're manning the griddle, I'm of course manning the mixers and the ovens.
Oh yeah, bake life.
And I did make recently I wanted to bake a cake recently. So I made a lemon cake with a mixed berry compote and a lemon Italian buttercream.
Wow. Yeah, the lemon and berries combo is supremely underrated in the dessert space, I think.
Mm-hmm. So it was a 3-layer cake with the compote in between the layers, and the lemon Italian buttercream surrounding the cake. I will say I screwed up the buttercream.
Oh boy.
So an Italian buttercream, by the way, you're making a meringue, making a sugar syrup, and pouring it into stiff egg whites. And then you're waiting for that to cool and then adding your butter in at the very end after it's kind of cooled down in the mixer. And that makes your buttercream. It's not anywhere near as sweet as an American buttercream, which is way too sweet. And then, so I had two things that either I did wrong with it. Either my mix was too warm when my butter went in, or I added too much lemon juice and that broke the buttercream. But either way, it just kind of melted if it was left out a little bit. But if you stuck it in the fridge and it hardened up, it was fantastic. It was all very good. Something I'm definitely going to make again and maybe keep tweaking. But delicious.
Yep, and lessons learned. You study the notes, you'll go back and watch the tape, watch the film, get back in the gym, and you'll try it again next time.
Yep, indeed.
Love it. All right, that's always end with food, and a wrap on this week's Course of Life podcast. Thanks again to Elizabeth, Diane, Veith for joining, and appreciate you for following along and listening. Be sure to hit subscribe right now, and we'll see you next week.
need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Fred Meyer. For thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.